in on my little like France vacation when I was working in France.
Yes.
One of my like 3 vacations I had to go on, which is fine. I
Had to.
My life is so hard. Life is so hard when you're working abroad.
It was a dream.
So yeah, it was a dream. It was great. I went to Rome and went to the Vatican City. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm finally gonna see the fucking Sistine Chapel. This is the moment. And I get in there and I felt like I had walked into just regular ass Catholic church at this point. It's so fucking small, but it's painted like all over, like it's covered, obviously. And you're like, yeah, well, Michelangelo. All right, I get it.
All right, I guess. Okay. You're like, I guess.
But you know, it's like these little dudes. I mean, from down below, it looks small. But even then, it's not like, there's
you think it's gonna be like grand and like this like huge experience, and it's so
yes,
it's a cherub city.
Cherub City. It was covered in cherubs. I mean, anything church related in Italy is like gold. It's my nails, like my nails that I just had done. Thank Tried and true nails, tried and true slime.
Very cute.
Very, very cute. Thank you. So much gold, so much red velvet, fucking cherubs everywhere. Like just like grandiosity.
I'm obsessed.
Oh, I was so obsessed. I think the best cathedral to see that I saw between Rome and Venice was Venice, because it had the most gold and velvet.
Oh yeah,
per square foot that I've ever seen. Yeah. It was amazing. So that's my rant about how the Vatican is underwhelming and overpriced.
Good to know.
You should still go.
Right?
You should still go. Yes.
Yeah.
It's history. You should still go.
It's history.
That's how I feel about it. No video, no photo. Okay. All right. Are we good? Have you looked through? I made updates on the document.
Yes, I saw
a little bit, some things. Cool. Are you good to take the lead a little bit on the topic because it's your body?
Yeah.
Or cool, great, because you've got the research in here and everything. I figured. Obviously, I will have questions and things.
Yeah. No, please.
Cool.
I'm gonna add to the people, but I also characters like fictional characters.
Yeah, give those to me. I'm pausing this so the poor Patreons out here. Okay. I feel like we should clap sync. It's easy for him to find. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, awesome. Here we go. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of What the Femme podcast. I'm Marie Dementh.
I am Birdie Holly.
And we are back with another Femisode, Femisode. We did it. We're back.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. We are so excited to be here. Hope everybody had a good weekend of festivities. It's certainly not my personal agenda to celebrate America on that day, but I'll go outside where people are and be social when the other people are.
Yeah, I'll eat a hot dog.
Yeah, I'll eat a hot dog.
I'll eat a hot dog. I'll blow up some shit.
Yeah.
But only because I want to.
Only because I want to. Yeah,
not absolutely. For any other reason whatsoever.
The world is dying, but we are here to liven it up.
Woo!
Carry on, I guess, the Pride energy. Hope everybody had a really good Pride. I know that we have now surpassed that time. Woo hoo hoo. And I guess not really in the name of Pride, but this week we are starting, speaking of being proud of things, our newest series that I'm really excited to get started on. I don't know about you, Bird.
I am very excited. I was nodding if you couldn't see.
Yes, for those of you who are listening at home, we are nodding in excitement. We are very excited. We're getting started with our new series on sexuality, A to Z.
Woo, taking you through the alphabet of sexuality.
Sexuality. Yeah, absolutely. So what's going to happen is over the next several femisodes that we'll be putting out in the coming weeks, we'll be covering a different topic as it relates to sexuality, sexual orientation, and we're going to do it alphabetically. And the first one we thought to start with, what better than to begin with asexuality.
Oop.
Woohoo. So we're going to cover that here in a little bit. If anybody has any particular suggestions, I know the alphabet does contain multitudes when it comes to sexuality and sexual orientation, but if you got any ideas, throw them our way. We've got some good stuff cooked up as well. Hoping to bring some people on to talk a little bit more about it from their own perspectives. So
Yes.
get excited for those people as well. All right. So, top of the show notes. Thank you again to everybody who's continuing to leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts. Please keep it up. We are so blessed to have those. You can also follow us on Spotify. So, keep doing that. Click that little follow button right next to our show name if you have not done so already. Our next Queer Creatives on Rise is going to be Wednesday, July 14th at 7 p.m. Central on Twitch, twitch.tv/WhatTheFem podcast with the owner of Boy Package. Boy Package is an amazing outfitter that you can find on Rise Market today at risemarket.com. I'm super excited to sit down with them. And then Thursday, July 15th, we'll be back with the Disability Inclusion Society and the Gracious Mind for Expression, which is a fundraiser we are partnering with those two organizations on. And we are so excited to offer it to the community. That's also going to be at 7 p.m. Central. I'll be co-hosting with Beth Yaturi from Disability Inclusion Society, and it is featuring art, drag, burlesque, spoken word, and more. All the proceeds from the show will directly go to the performing artists and the Gracious Mind. So make sure you're following us at twitch.tv/WhatTheFem podcast for notifications for when we go live. Woohoo! All right, now it's time for our bi-weekly bits. Ooh. All right, so I figured for this week we could cover the word asexual because timely with the topic.
Mm-hmm.
So in French, we have asexué. Probably my favorite. That's
Yeah.
It's a cute one. ASEXU, E accent aigu, which is the accent that goes to upward, and then another E. Asexué. In Spanish, we have asexual. So it's spelled exactly the same as it is in Spanish, as it is in English, but just pronounced asexual. So that's asexué en français and asexual en español. And that's our word of the week.
Amazing.
Thank you. It's always fun when they are a little bit easier. All right. Next up, we have our Rise Market Artist Picks of the Week. First up, I'm going to share my screen. So first up, we have Melee Range. Now, I feel like we have covered this artist before, which is totally fine. I feel like everybody deserves a second shout out. If not, be sure to check out Rise Market today, risemarket.com. Melee Range is all about arts and goods made in hand's reach, I guess, hence the shop name. Powered by fantasy and nature, we like to create worlds for ourselves and others to escape into. The products we enjoy making the most are for fantasy games like D&D and other TTRPG. I'm assuming that has to do with playing roleplay games in groups.
I will say that you are probably right.
I am really hoping so. I'm sure there are people like screaming.
I
Like,
know. We're a bunch of.
"DT!"
I know. I don't know.
I don't know, but I know what D&D is.
I do too.
I'm here for that. So we're at least aware of D&D, but TTRPG. So if you are into those kind of games, this seller is for you. Oh, so it says here also they have custom character creation, zines,
That's
dice
cool.
bags, and fantasy illustrations are all in their wheelhouse. Wowie kazow, huh?
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah. So this artist is based out of Chicago, Illinois. If you venture over to their website or to their vendor page on Rice Market, you will see some awesome prints. And I see we've got a really cool dice bag here. So lots of fun stuff. Oh, wow. So some of their items are actually thrifted or vintage.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
I know we're into that. So if you're a collectible friend and a D&D fanatic, the seller is for you. That is Melee Range. That's MELEE Range, RANGE. Please check them out. All right. Our next Rise Market artist pick of the week is Leafjailee. This is an artist based out of Portland, Oregon. The items in this shop are hand sewn, dyed, screen printed, drawn, and or designed by the artist Leafjailee. This shop offers you the integrity, authenticity, and small batch quality you are looking for in a culture overrun with fast fashion. Isn't that the truth? Wherever possible, items are shipped with 100% recyclable packaging supplies. Hell yeah. So I see we've got some really awesome radical queer joy designs. I like this tank top.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I like this queer tote.
I love the daddy's mug.
Oh my gosh, this daddy's mug. So we've got a white mug here that says daddy's on it with a bunch of hearts on a cute little screen or like a grid type situation. I do need that. I believe we both need one.
Very cute.
Very, very cute indeed. So that's Leafjailee, also available now at risemarket.com, based out of Portland, Oregon. They've got some really great prints, some awesome wearables, and other accessories. Be sure to check them out. And that concludes our Rise Market Artist Picks of the Week. Woo. All right. It is now time for CosmokoolAid with Birdie Holly.
Yeah. So this week, Friday, July 9th, to be exact, we are having our hello cat. He said, excuse me, hello.
I would like to talk about it. And I would like to maybe explore my chart as well when you have time. Can I have a reading?
Let's talk about it.
A reading for me, mother, please.
A mother reading, please.
Mother, a reading for me.
I need one. Yeah, so on the 9th of July, this would be Friday, so tomorrow, there is a new moon in Cancer that will be happening. And so the moon is ruled by Cancer. So this new moon is very powerful. She's exalted. She's powerful. I said that twice. Do you know what I mean?
Double down on the power. I mean, why not? If we're being exalted and serious here.
Yeah, no, this is a great new moon to work with. It's comfy in its home. It's powerful in its home. So yeah, really working on utilizing its power. Try to get, use some water, utilize water. Cancer is a water sign. So any way you could get into a bath, set some intentions in the bath, using water for, certain rituals would be a great idea. And always, of course, with every moon that happens, look at what house what house Cancer is in for you. So for me, my 9th house is my Cancer house. Cancer is in my Cancer is in my 9th house, which is the house of higher learning, house of travel. So I have school coming up that's starting up soon. So I will be using this new moon to set some intentions that have to do with habits and things that I can implement that'll, set me up for success for school that's starting up soon. And things like that. Yeah. And Cancer is also the modality of Cancer is a cardinal sign. So you have a lot of energy that is cardinal signs are all about the beginning of things and starting things and getting things going and initiating change. So this is a great new moon to manifest change, to start something. So see what house Cancer is in for you. Kind of meditate on that and see what things you could be starting with this new moon, getting a little push from her. What's yours in? What houses you're in?
Mine is in my 2nd house, actually.
So material wealth and things like that. So, yeah.
I mean, very apropos for,
Yeah.
For things that are happening that I'll talk about later.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So, of course.
Yeah. Seeing what kind of habits and intentions you can set and change and see what's coming your way and see how you can Yeah, do some good manifesting and intention setting.
Hell yeah. Here's my question.
Yeah,
So it's very like water centric,
sure.
right? We're in
Mm-hmm.
the summertime, right?
Correct.
What are thoughts, if any, about like pool time? What if we're
Yeah,
like amongst fellow practicing humans who are appreciators of astrology and things?
yeah.
Any tips, any ideas as far as like if we're all gathered in a pool, anything that could be like up the ante, you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. Cancer also is a very familial sign, and it's all about community and family. So I would say that, yeah, like a community dip in a pool would be a great idea. And also kind of sitting and seeing what intentions you can set and habits you can set that also have to do with family, whether it be biological, chosen, whatever, community, anything family oriented. Cancer really likes. So
Wow, how
home, family
cute.
things. Yeah.
It's a Friday.
It's a
You're going to be off
Friday.
work for the most people who are 9 to 5ers.
Yeah.
Go get you some water time with your family, with your group, with your
Yeah. With your homies.
friends.
Sure.
Yes. Do it safely. Please don't break any laws, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But definitely get in some water. Even if it's just, even if it's just a nice long shower, if that's, what you
oh
have
yeah.
time for that day, that is fine.
Shower together.
Shower together if you want to. But yeah, so just get it. Water is a really useful and powerful tool to use for this full moon because it is in Cancer. So
Yeah, how exciting. I can't remember.
Mhm.
I mean, so how many signs I don't know. I can't remember the last time we've been in such an apropos moment, or at least not. I can't remember the last time a new moon has been in its sign of its season as well. I'm sure it's happened
So
recently, but
yeah, so every season of the zodiac, there's a new moon in its home sign. So it's when the sun and the moon are right on top of each
I'm
other.
so dumb.
No, you're not. No, literally,
I was like,
no,
that's
you're not
crazy.
at all. Like, unless you're someone like me who
Right.
literally thinks about astrology 24/7 and reads about it 24/7, you
Mhm.
wouldn't know. But
True.
yeah, so I'm looking at my moon calendar right
Yeah,
now.
go
So
ahead.
every month or every zodiac season, the new moon is in. So last time we had our Gemini new moon, we have Cancer new moon. So in August we'll have a Leo new moon, and in September we'll have a Virgo full moon, so on and so forth. New moon, so on and so forth. And I believe, yeah, so it's the full moons that kind of tend to not be in the same signs.
Oh, okay. Got
But
it.
every season that we have, every month, there will
Mhm.
be a new moon in the sign of its season, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can always know what new moon is coming up by what sign season we're currently in.
Wow. Pro tip.
Pro tip. Yeah.
Pro tip. That's exactly a pro tip.
Yeah. So
Okay.
full moons will change, but new moons,
Mhm.
you'll always know what new moon is coming up by whatever season that we're in. So yeah.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is
Fun
so
fact.
cool. Fun
Yeah. So
fact.
yeah. And
Okay.
then so you might be feeling a little moody, a little stubborn. And I know the cancers are rolling their eyes right now, but it's actually not because we're in Cancer season. Yes, it kind of doesn't help.
No,
I
it's not.
advocate for you guys, okay?
She do though.
But yeah, but the way that Uranus is square, or I'm sorry, the way Saturn is kind of squaring up with Venus and Mars right now, are making, because it's funny because Venus and Mars are in this really harmonious push and pull and give and take kind of moment, which could be
Right.
really beautiful. But Saturn's in the corner being like, no.
Bobby.
And they're like, come on. And he's like, no. So you might be like, I feel harmonious, but I'm also feeling really moody and stubborn. And it's like, we're getting along, but I'm frustrated. And so if you feel those feelings are very normal right now. Take time to ground yourself, to maybe step away. But just know if you're feeling those feelings, you're not alone. The stars are doing a thing right now. So, but at least we are out of Mercury's shadow, which means we are officially done with retrograde season for Mercury retrograde. Woohoo.
For now. For now.
For now. For now.
For what?
Yes,
For like the
now.
year? And then next year,
Yeah.
maybe?
Right. Yeah. No, it keeps on happening. But for now, we are coming up for
We're out
air.
of it. Ugh,
We're
thank
out
God.
of the shadow period, which means we're officially done
She
with the
needs to
Mercury
calm
retrograde.
down.
Yeah.
Too much.
So
Too much. Chill out.
that's what's going on in the stars right now, y'all.
Wow, wow, wow. That was a beautiful, beautiful, learned CosmokoolAid time with the one and only Birdie Holly. And with that, we are going to take a break. Searching for answers? Wondering what's going on with your mental health? At The Gracious Mind, help is here. TGM offers identity affirming, low cost, sliding scale, and payment plan clinical services. Our team is queer, trans, sex worker, immigrant, deaf, and BIPOC allied, as well as available to provide interpreter services in ASL and English. Our clinic is proud to offer our clinical services to anyone in the following states through our easy-to-use, HIPAA-compliant telehealth software: Alabama, Arizona, Colorado, Delaware, Georgia, Illinois, Kentucky, Maryland, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, New Hampshire, Nevada, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Utah, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. You can also access opportunities to learn and grow from our team through online courses, workshops, videos, and articles. Shop books, journals, workbooks, zines, and gifts in our online shop. Explore the Gracious Mind and find the wellness you've been searching for at www.thegraciousmind.com. That's www.thegraciousmind.com. We're here to help you thrive.
Hey listeners, I've got an exciting new podcast coming to streaming apps near you called Media Psyched, hosted by yours truly, Dr. Aiden Hirschfield, media psychologist, consultant, and researcher. Media Psyched is all about our relationships with media, the cause and effect, and the incredible ways that we humans are using media to transform ourselves and the world around us. I'll talk about some of my favorite subjects, like video games, virtual and augmented reality, digital art, user experiences, the psychology of persuasion, cognitive dissonance, Gestalt theory, and why it all matters. I'm so passionate about media psychology because I know it has an impact on everyone and everything in our modern world, so we can no longer ignore its power and influence. That's been true for many years, yet many of us are just becoming media literate. That's a whole can of worms we'll definitely be opening up quite frequently, in fact. What's more, we'll be hearing from riveting and powerful stories about all sorts of mediums and technology from a diverse range of people from an infinite array of fields, backgrounds, and experiences, a lot of whom I'm really lucky to call my friends. And as a trans and queer identified person, I am dedicated to cultivating an inclusive space that uplifts and shares the voices and experiences of marginalized people. I'll talk about my work at the intersection of media and gender and sexuality, and bring in influencers, experts, and interesting folks to talk about all of these nuanced areas. So I hope you'll join me for Media Psyched, coming to your favorite streaming apps very soon. Subscribe on Spotify or Apple, or follow us at Media Psyched Podcast on Instagram for updates.
This episode is brought to you by Stoke Co-working, located in the heart of downtown Denton, Texas. Every Tuesday morning, Stoke hosts Coffee and Convo virtually, a casual morning meetup with entrepreneurs, experts, and peers. During this discussion-oriented event, all are welcome to come and learn from an expert in their field and ask questions. Bring your favorite morning beverage and prepare to take notes. On Tuesday, December 14th, join Julie James, co-founder of Playable Media, an education technology company, educator, and participant in the fall 2020 cohort of Accelerate Her, a Denton startup incubator program offered in partnership between Stoke and TWU's CWE. On Wednesday, December 15th, join Randy Skinner of RS Consulting to learn a few tips for creating an email marketing strategy that makes your business a rock star and your customers raving fans. To learn more about how to get involved with Coffee and Conversation, check out Stoke's website at stokedenton.com. That's www.stokedenton.com/events. And we're back. All right, welcome back, everybody. All right, so now it is time for our topic of the week: asexuality.
Asexuality.
What
What kind of a sexuality? Asexuality. Whose? Mine,
Asexuality.
actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, this was interesting because I have been kind of, we're evolving, always changing.
Always.
always, right?
Mhm.
And so recently I was like, I don't really know if I identify as asexual anymore. I'm not sure if that really fits for me anymore. I don't really know, blah, 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 blah. And then I did a lot of research on it today and I was like, it still absolutely does. Because I think as asexual human beings, we are often, I mean, I don't want to throw around the word gaslit, um, but made to feel kind of like the same things that bisexual people struggle with, like, oh, like you just like haven't like met the right person, or it's just like a moment that you're going through, like it's not like
Right.
a
It's
it's
very
not like a
invalidated a lot.
yeah, exactly, and it's
Mhm.
really misunderstood, um and it's really invalidated a lot. I mean, we're definitely making progress and things like that, but there is still a lot of misconceptions about asexuality. There is still a lot of um yeah, misconceptions.
Yeah,
And so we're
100%.
here today to kind of talk about it.
Yeah, I'm very
So
excited.
yeah, I did some researching today, thinking about asexuality and the difference between sexual orientation and sexual identity. And so, because, identity refers to an individual's conception of themselves, behavior referring to the actual sex acts performed by the individual, sexual orientation is referring to the romantic or sexual attractions toward person or persons of the opposite or same, gender, sex, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
So I thought that that was really interesting because I know a lot of people like myself who identify as asexual, but also as like pansexual.
Mhm.
And so, like, my sexual identity and my sexual orientation are different, or even kind
Right.
of like, I don't know, I'm still learning about it. If, please, we're learning together. So, if you have any insight on that as well, or, what your thoughts are on it, if you've done research, let's talk about it. Um, and so, yeah, I thought that that was really interesting because,
Mhm.
again, I think I know a lot of people that identify as ace. You'll hear me say ace a lot, and ace is just sort of short for asexual.
Mhm.
A lot of ace humans that also identify as like bisexual, pansexual, gay, whatever.
Right.
So it's kind of like an addition, but also some people I know that are just demisexual, gray, ace without any other. So, you don't really have to have one or the other, or you can have both. That's the
Things that
thing.
we will
Stack
cover,
them on there. Yeah.
layer them up, and we'll be covering all those in the future as well. If you didn't recognize some of those words that Bird just dropped just now,
Oh, yeah, we'll get into it.
we will. We will.
Yes. So much like sexuality and gender and all of the things in general, asexuality is a spectrum.
Mhm.
So just kind of a refresher, or for people who don't know what asexuality means, asexuality is a is someone who does not experience sexual attraction towards anyone. It is important to remember, however, that attraction and action are not always the same. Some asexuals may be completely repulsed by the idea of sexual contact and won't engage in it, but others may be sex neutral, sex positive, and will engage in sex. Some asexuals have a libido or will masturbate, but won't be open to sex with someone else, while others may not have a libido, but will have sex with a partner because of the sense of connection that comes from it. Everyone experiences their asexuality differently, so it is important not to make assumptions about an asexual person or their experiences, which is very true. A lot of people think, asexual people just don't have sex and they don't ever think about sex, and it's just that way, which is totally not true. I know a lot of sex workers that are asexual. Some ace people have libidos, some
Mhm.
don't. The thing that I think ace people can agree that we all share is we like connection. For some people, sex can be a connection. For some people, like demisexuals, it is like an emotional or mental connection. But a connection is pretty common throughout.
Mhm.
And then you also have something called aromantic. So you have sexual and then you have romantic. So you can be asexual, you can be aromantic, you can be demi-romantic, but we'll get into it in a second, as I kind of go through the different spectrum things that lie on the spectrum of asexuality.
Mhm.
So aromanticism is what could be described as the romantic orientation counterpart to asexuality. Similar to asexuality, someone who identifies with a subcategory of aromanticism may simply call themselves aromantic because it's a simpler and easier way to explain. The definition of aromanticism is someone who does not experience romantic attraction to anybody. Like with asexuality, an aromantic person may still choose to engage in romantic relationships or not. Many aromantic people will enter into what are called queer platonic partnerships, which I love, QPPs. These partnerships are, as the name implies, platonic in nature, which I love. And, I personally tried on poly for me, and it wasn't quite a good fit. But I think something like a QPP and queer platonic partnerships are something that I think I would find wildly fulfilling, and I have some of those, and I think, and they are. And so just something I wanted to throw out there. And then you also have gray asexual and gray romantic, or gray ace, gray romantic. And so gray asexual and gray romantics very widely, as it does with everything on the spectrum. People who identify with either of these labels can include, but are not in any way limited to, people who do not normally experience attraction but do sometimes, people who experience attraction but have a low sex drive, and people who can enjoy and desire sex or romantic relationships but under very limited and specific circumstances. So I identify personally as gray ace, because I do every once in a while kind of experience, romantic feelings, sexual feelings, stuff like that, but it is not something that is there constantly. I definitely have the desire to have sex, and I love to have sex, but I would probably identify as someone on a lower sex drive kind of way. Like, for me, I have never really looked at another human being and thought like, I want to engage in sex with that person. Like, that's never been like a thought, like a first thought about a human being. I'm really attracted to people's aesthetics and people, how they look. And I think like, wow, they're really attractive, but it usually has nothing to do with sex. That's never really a thought that enters my mind. I love sex and I love to have sex, and it is kind of like a fun thing for me, and I like to engage in it, but it is never something that is organically like aroused, if that makes sense.
It's not instantaneous for you.
Exactly.
And I try to use that whenever anybody asks me questions about that. I'm like, I try to like pose that question. That's usually like a number one off the bat, like differentiator. So
yeah,
really glad that you brought that up, because other people, in conversation, I hope people who are listening will take this, and use it to explain to other people as well. Because I don't think it can, asexuality and all of these spectrum placements, they do not get discussed enough.
Yeah. And, someone who is a burlesque performer, people are like, you can't be asexual. You literally are like naked on stage. And I'm like, yeah, but that, has nothing from, I don't know, to me.
Two totally different things. Y'all never been cheerleaders.
Exactly. And like, it's not, but a lot of, there's so many misconceptions about that. Like I said, I know a lot of sex workers who are asexual. And it's just, it's so different for every person. I think every asexual person has a different experience. Same with like, being queer, like we all have different experiences and all experience different things.
Yes.
But I think especially for ace people, we all kind of have a different version of what ace means to us.
For sure.
Because I definitely experience attraction and things like that, but I've never seen, like, I hear people like see someone from across from like, I want to fuck that person. And I'm like, I don't get it.
See, and that's how I was like, because sometimes for a moment there, when I was, and people I feel like also who experience, if you're out there and you've ever questioned whether or not you're asexual, I think a lot of it comes from like experiencing a low sex drive, and then like wanting to like differentiate between those two things of like, there is a difference between like having a low sex drive and being, I don't know. Oh my gosh, I feel so silly. What is the opposite of just asexual? Being, I guess, hypersexual. Thank you.
Yes.
Like there's a difference between experiencing temporary bouts of low sex drive and like actually being asexual. So
yeah, for sure. And that's why I struggled for so long being like, is it just low sex drive? Is it that? But then I've heard a lot of people saying like, do you have that? Like, have you ever had that experience of like being sexually attracted to someone by just seeing them or first meeting them? And I'm like, not really.
And
like horniness for me, like not really something that I mean, like, of course I experience it every once in a while, but it's
Mhm.
not something like I know some people who it's like something that they are experiencing more frequently than someone
Mhm.
like myself. And I do masturbate. I know some ace people do, some ace people don't.
Mhm.
Um, and I do, but it's kind of more of like, it's not really because I'm horny. It's just because like the release is nice and I like
Mhm.
the act of it. And it's like self-care, self-love kind of moment.
Mhm.
But it's never like, oh, I'm so horny. I need to like have that release. Like it is every once in
Right.
a while. But for me, it's very fluid. It's very kind of up and down and different. And then it's funny too, because when I am sexual and in a sexual mood, I feel like I am very intensely sexual. So it
Mhm.
is all, and then like I tell my partners, like, I'm ace, and they're like, that doesn't make sense. And I'm like, I know, probably it doesn't, because I like kink and like the kink community and stuff. And so it's
Right.
very like confusing for people that think that asexuality is just no sex, which it can be that too. And so
Mhm.
it's again, it depends on the person, and it's a very malleable, moldable thing to the individual.
Absolutely.
And then I think I want to kind of save some of these other ones, but I'll just kind of briefly go over them because for D, I'm sure we'll go into demisexual and
Mhm.
demiromantic when we approached the D, if you will.
The D.
But that also kind of falls under the category of asexuality and a little quick. So demi, as I'm sure you know, or Danielle, is French for half. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh wow, I had no idea. Thank you for
Wow,
letting me
fascinating. You're welcome.
know.
Um,
Groundbreaking.
and it was first coined, so demisexual was first coined to describe a person who does not experience attraction to an individual until a significant emotional bond has been formed. This works off the idea of primary attraction and secondary attraction. Primary attraction is attraction to people based on first impressions, such as appearance, how they smell, etc. Secondary attraction is attraction to people that develop over time and forms out of the relationship one has with a person and their emotional connection. This can be applied to both romantic attraction and sexual attraction. So, yeah, I also kind of feel a bit demi as well with the secondary attraction. I definitely feel more kind of romantically. I feel more
Mhm.
connected to a person, but I also can feel pretty. See, again, changing at this very
Learning,
moment, y'all. You know
right?
what I'm saying? Like it's
Different every time.
really fluid and it's
Mhm.
really yeah, because I also identify as pansexual and it's very, you know, labels are confusing, trying to figure all of this out. We're all trying on new things, seeing what fits. Um, and the more that I learned about this today and the more that I read about it, the more I was kind of imbued with this sense of like, yeah, this is definitely part of my identity. And it is hard, kind of, I think, especially as people who work in the LGBT community and things like
Mhm.
that. And so, like, ace people at Pride often feel uncomfortable or unwelcome because Pride, whether it's, you know, the queer people there or how the event is structured or whatever, is usually very sexual. And,
Mhm.
you know, queer people were sexualized constantly, anyways, and fetishized
Mhm.
and all of that. And so, I mean, I personally will honestly stay away from a lot of Pride events because I do feel like they're very sexualized and it's just queer hunting grounds. I mean, that's probably not the best way to put it, but you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, I don't like feel it's like everyone's scanning and engaging and it's
Mhm.
sexual. And I'm not trying to knock that at all. I think sex positive, you know, obviously I'm sex positive.
Right.
I think that that's a very, you know, thing. But for ace people, we're like trying to like be here too, but we're like,
I'm
I
not
feel like
interested.
uncomfortable. I'm
Please don't
like
come near
here.
me. Yes.
Yeah. But like I want to dance, but I don't want to be sexualized and I don't want
Right.
to dance with anyone but myself, which is a very
Right.
ace like thing, I feel like. Um, but yeah, so it is kind of hard to find a community within that community. And so a lot of ace communities will find community within each other. So there are these like
Mhm.
a sub community within a community. Um, and I know that, you know, I've kind of have an ace community, you know, around here that is really nice to have that um, connection and stuff that is
Mhm.
outside, because I know a lot of the time, yeah, it can be sexualized and a little overwhelming for ace people, and we're just like, I don't know, being here makes me uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah,
But then
absolutely.
again, not all ace people feel that way.
Right.
And then, you do have some ace people that are, they don't ever think about sex. They don't ever want to have sex. And that's just not a desire for them,
Mhm.
which is totally valid and another form of asexuality. It really depends on the person. And if someone, wants to talk to you about it, you ask them about it. Just definitely, yeah, it's very personal to the person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's good to know. I mean, thank you for sharing your experience. I mean,
Yeah.
we talked about this the other day, and it was like the first time I had ever even considered that. Because yeah, like fundamentally, like pride events and things are meant to be like community spaces, but yeah, at the same time, there is so much of that kind of activity because it's like the one time that everybody is together.
Exactly. And we're like,
So it's like
we're
this
all at this
weird
queer event, so we
mix.
all know that we're all queer. So the people that
Right.
are like looking for that
And you're like
great play,
fielding
of
left
course,
and right, just like,
and you're
oh,
safe and
great.
you're in a
All right.
space, and it's like, of course, and I get it.
Go off, queen, for
But
sure.
yeah, sure. But
But
like,
yeah.
I have a hard time going to events sometimes because I do feel overwhelmed by it.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally, I'm not knocking it. And I think, like,
Oh
hell
no,
yeah, I get it, baby. But like,
I'm with you. I'm like, if I can find a way to be isolated away from it, because my just like social battery is not the same that it used to be.
yeah,
And we
big
talked about
same.
this too, of like,
Mhm.
well, if we're working the event, it's different. Because then we can,
Yes.
that's a
I
beautiful
love,
built-in boundary, baby.
yeah, because I love to work in nightlife and I love to work
Yes.
dancing and those
Yes.
kinds of fun things, but I would prefer to be working mostly because I'm an awkward being.
Bye.
And I'm really bad at being flirted with and flirting in return. So I'd rather be
Right.
working. Yeah.
I'm
And there
just
was,
here to work.
yeah. And there was another one that came up on this resource that I was reading called like reciprosexual. And
Uh-huh.
so like, and I feel like I strongly identify with that. Like I have a very hard time initiating. I have a very hard time, like probably because of my aceness and because,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like hard for me to like pursue someone or like
Mhm.
be the like person that does the
That's the thing.
does the
Yeah.
hi, you want to date me?
The
People
Facebook
are
thing.
like, you are cool, and I'm like, that's cool because I think you're cool too. And so I really identify, I think, um as a probably recipromantic.
Reciprosexual. There you go.
Yeah,
Recipromantic. Yes.
definitely. um
Love that.
yeah, so we'll I'm sure we'll put a link somewhere to the
Yeah.
spectrum that I was talking about. You can kind of explore it for yourself. um yeah, so another thing. And then we, oh, I feel like there was something else that I put. I can't find it. I think we already talked about it. Oh yeah, libidos and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you did cover that. So my first question, and probably the best question that I have, is what can non-ace folks do to better support their ace friends, from your opinion, your perspective?
I would say just validation is really nice,
Yeah.
and giving space for us to come and just being understanding and creating a safe space for us to come and talk with someone about it, that because a lot of people you can't talk to about it, and people don't understand. Like my family could never.
Oh,
Most
yeah.
people who aren't in the queer community, and even some people that are, like, don't really have the open mind to
Right.
understand. So really just being a support to that person and being there to help us talk through our feelings and validating our feelings and things like that are very important. Yeah, I really think that's one of the most important things. Not other ace people. Yeah, I would like to hear from y'all and see what you think, but that's one thing that I need the most is validation sometimes, because it can feel very invalidating, and especially in such a hypersexual world and in media
Mhm.
and stuff like that, which is something we'll talk about in a minute. Most characters, in media are driven by love and sex and things like that. And so
Right.
ace representation, not, same with queer representation. We're constantly like hoping that we're going to finally have some representation somewhere. So I don't remember where I was going with that, but yeah, support.
Yeah.
What is
The
like,
support.
yeah, one of the things that I can think of the most that I need
yeah.
personally.
Yeah, everybody let us know. secretagentfem@gmail.com. If you have
Mhm.
any other tips, tricks, advice, things you'd like to share as
Yeah,
fellow ace people, we would love to hear from you.
yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah. So you did mention media earlier. So
Yes, I know I was about to talk about it and I've lost my train of thought.
No, totally fine. I pulled a couple of names. I was like, well, I know there are a couple of like well-known history and pop culture figures that are either like openly asexual or were assumed to be asexual based on
Yeah.
their like life experiences of that individual. So
Oh, another person I wanted to add to this, Joe March from Little Women. Yes, I think was
100%.
very asexual
Yes.
because you talk to her and she said multiple times, like, I had to write it like this because it was the only way it was going to get published. But she said Joe would have never got married.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just the way it would have been unless she wanted to get her book sold. And so she had to write it that way. But she was like, Joe would have never gotten married. So Joe March, also another asexual icon.
Bam.
I
How
wanted to
about
add to
that?
the list.
I love that.
Yeah.
The first person that I can think of right off the bat, because they are currently living, and are popular in media as well. So Janine Garofalo, who's a comedian, you know her from many movies. She's currently working the New York comedy circuit, and I guess probably everywhere, but that's where she's currently based. She has like previous work in her comedic acts talking about her asexuality, and she has been a guest on past podcasts that will come to light in the future, so I won't name them now. Future. um Also Emily, oh my gosh, I'm going to say her last name wrong.
Bronte?
Emily Bronte.
I think that's
Yeah,
right. I could be
right.
wrong too, but that's
Who
why I've
knows?
always said it.
Wuthering Heights, y'all, the author of Wuthering
Yeah.
Heights.
Yes.
J.M. Barrie, creator of Peter Pan, George Bernard Shaw, who's a playwright that wrote Pygmalion, which is the basis for My Fair Lady, Salvador Dali, and you had a couple as well.
Yeah. So I'm not familiar with BoJack Horseman, but I know that there is a character on there. His name's Todd. That is apparently an asexual icon that they get a lot correct, which I think is very awesome. Elsa from Frozen.
Yes.
Another ace icon. And there was someone else too. Oh, I don't really watch Riverdale, but apparently Jughead, I think, is confirmed ace or something like that.
Cool.
Which is pretty cool. So yeah, I know there were some other shows that I was watching.
Yes.
That I think it was High Maintenance or something on HBO. Shout out to High Maintenance.
Oh,
Such a
High
great
Maintenance.
show.
What a great show.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that they threw out some ace characters, which was awesome.
I love that.
So more representation. We love to see it.
There's and I'm excited to see other elements of where we're starting to see more representation in like regular mainstream media, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Outside of like queer centric
Yes.
stuff. So excited to see what the future holds there. Only other one that I wanted to mention, because this is a
I want you
big
to talk
if
about this
true.
because
So I can't remember the first time that I've heard this, but there is like speculation across the interwebs. Is Jessica Rabbit asexual?
God, that would be amazing.
Right. And so
what an icon.
What a total icon. For those of you who don't know who Jessica Rabbit is, pause this podcast, go watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
And then come back and keep playing this. And then
or just Google her and her image will pop up and you'll be like, oh, that bitch.
Right.
How could I forget?
Look at her go. Yeah. So I did not realize it was such a big deal, because when I went to Google this to like verify my perception, countless headlines, forum posts, blog posts, medium.com article, which is what I finally landed on, of people discussing whether or not Jessica Rabbit is asexual. So throughout this article, I'll post it in the show notes. It's written by they list themselves as Magic Ears Dude Bro as the author, which is exciting.
Oh yeah.
So there are multiple instances that they reference throughout the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit, such as citing her reasons for why she marries Roger Rabbit. So again, spoilers galore and in this article. Please go watch the movie beforehand. But they also talk about how she doesn't really engage in like sexual acts where she performs patty cake with Marvin Acme. Just small subtle instances that like convey, and again in this article it talks about just the same stuff that you mentioned
Relatable as
earlier.
fuck.
Yes, I
Being a
mean,
burlesque performer and assume that I'm this
yes,
hypersexual, constantly sexual
right,
person.
right.
True.
When in reality they don't, it's not even the case. Yeah, so
People's way of expressing doesn't necessarily correlate with their sexuality,
who
babies.
knew, who
Who
knew, who
knew?
knew. Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. Everybody
Yeah,
go
big
watch
if
the
true.
movie. Big if true, because there's not like a thesis out there about this or anything from the
Not
creator,
yet.
obviously. Not yet. I mean, somebody
This is what
surely
I'm
out
writing my
there.
thesis on. Yeah.
There it is. We found the topic. I love it.
Yeah. Another fun fact sexuality that I learned today is that 86% of ace people are AFAB people or assigned female at birth humans, which I thought was interesting. And a
What?
lot of ace people are youths, and a lot more of youths are coming out as ace, which I thought was very interesting.
I love that. And that that
Yeah.
that that proves that, it's becoming a more widely discussed topic as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is great.
Yeah, 100%. So, were there any other characters, any other people that you wanted to
Not that
cover?
I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, me neither. Again, secretagentfem
But
at
the fact that
gmail.com to let us
the
know.
fact that there are any representations at all of asexuality in media is just, I'm thankful for that. So,
Yeah, and I hope that there will be more. I mean, again, stuff that's getting put out now is being created by Gen Xers and millennials who,
yeah,
and
bless.
probably even some Gen Zs as well, who are putting out that kind of content so that more and more youths can be more sound in their,
Mhm.
or I guess more confident in their identities and who they are as individuals, and can I mean, maybe are more brave at a younger age or more comfortable in being able to come out however it is that they choose to come
Yeah,
out
exactly.
than we
Mhm.
were. It's different.
Yeah, for sure.
The world is
The
changing.
wild is changing
The
indeed.
world is changing. All right, cool deal. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of What the Femme podcast. I am so excited for us to go on this adventure through
Yeah, me
all of the
too.
sexualities A to Z.
Hell yeah.
Hail fucking yes. So we will see you all back next week with an interview. Can't wait to get that y'all's way.
Oh yeah.
Be sure to tune in. Before we go, we obviously want to give thanks to our wonderful Patreon subscribers. You can join in on the fun today and receive ad-free episodes, as well as access to our show notes and our super fun Discord server by joining for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/whatthefempodcast. Thank you to Kristen Spapchik, Danica Dobson, Megan Doherty, Atticus Kimbrough, Christopher Walker, Devin Bruner, Allie Barnes, Courtney Marie, Danny Nichols, and Kirby and Lucy for supporting our Patreon.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, y'all. And don't forget, we've got Queer Creatives coming up on Rise. Queer Creatives on Rise. That's Wednesday, July 14th with the Owner of Boy package. Thursday, July 15th, we'll be hosting the Expression fundraiser show with Disability Inclusion Society and the Gracious Mind. Make sure to follow us at twitch.tv/whatthefempodcast. We will see you over there. And that about does it for us. All right, friends. Thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Okay, thanks.
Bye
Bye.
now. Adios.